The Las Vegas Raiders' changes at defensive tackle were among the most notable after their coaching change. The current defensive tackle depth chart for the Raiders has Bilal Nichols, Andrew Billings, Kendal Vickers, and newcomer Neil Farrell as starters. First-year player Matthew Butler and Kendal Vickers are on the bench. Vickers is the only holdover left from the previous regime. Johnathan Hankins' departure has shifted the position's depth. To what extent has the Las Vegas Raiders this season? How have the Las Vegas Raiders performed this season? What is the defensive rotation of the Las Vegas Raiders this season? First, Bilal Nichols, Andrew Billings, Kendal Vickers, and Neil Farrell are the current defensive tackle rotation for the Raiders. First-year player Matthew Butler typically sits on the bench. The new administration re-signed Hankins in the offseason, but he saw less and less playing time and was not even active for Week 5's game in Kansas City. On Sunday, in his final game with the Raiders, Hankins played 12 defensive snaps in a loss to Houston. Free agent signee Nichols has played at least 71% of the snaps in 4 of 6 games. Nichols came to the team from Chicago, a street free agency since February. Billings has seen action in 6 games this year, playing 30 to 69% of the time. He has participated in at least 51% of the snaps in 50% of the games for Las Vegas. Vickers has seen action between 30% and 39% across 4 games, with a high of 67% and a low of 16%. LSU's 4th-round draft pick Farrell saw action in 29% of his team snaps in Week 15 and 15% in Week 7. Butler, who Tennessee selected in the 5th round, has played in only 2 games so far in Week 3 and 4. In total, he has played in 7 snaps. Patrick Graham is comfortable with Nichols and Billings getting most of the defensive tackle snaps. Players help. That's obvious. Graham told reporters this week that Oakham is teaching the methods the team wants to adopt, including players with proper pad level and with their hand in front of their eyes to avoid getting blocked. Quote, "It's hard enough to defend in this league, but it's a passing league, so the frontline players must be able to take on many or force 2-person blocks. So far, so good. There's room for improvement, but they understand you can't win every game. It's hard to cover the pass in this league without 2 spot players." Graham added that rookies learn to study better and care for their bodies. It shows in practice because field snaps are won through practice. The team wants practice execution to become a reality. The practice is encouraging and rookies realize that they have room to grow. Why did the Las Vegas Raiders trade Johnathan Hankins to the Cowboys? Moving on, according to NFL media, the Las Vegas Raiders have sold defensive tackle Johnathan Hankins to the Dallas Cowboys for a 6th-round selection pick in 2023. As compensation, the Cowboys will receive a 7th-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Although the new administration re-signed Hankins this offseason, he has yet to play a significant role in the defense. In 2016, he was a part of the Giants roster while playing under new Raiders defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. The 2 tackles Hankins made against the Houston Texans on Sunday were part of his season total of 10. In Week 5 against the Chiefs, Hankins, who had been with the Raiders since 2018, was a healthy and active. Against the Texans, he saw action in 12 plays. The Hankins trade should be read differently than the Raiders initiating a first sale at 2-4. Johnathan Abram, a safety, and Clelin Ferrell, a defensive end, have reportedly been on the trading block. Before the trade deadline on November 1st, the Raiders may still make some moves, but they will be selective about who they make available. Hankins, who is a 30-year-old, was swapped out since he didn't play a significant part. Bilal Nichols, Kendal Vickers, Andrew Billings, and even the rookie Neil Farrell are among the younger players earning more significant playing time. What's been behind the success of the Raiders' run defense this season? Up next, this season, the Silver and Black have made great effort in stopping the offensive runs thanks to their focus on detail while defending. Before Week 8, the Raiders' run defense has allowed the 3rd fewest rushing yards in the NFL. For the 2017 season, the Raiders ranked 19th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed. Several factors, including the team's strength and defensive line, contributed to the uptick in performance. The Silver and Black brought in defensive line coach Frank Oakham, formerly with the Houston Texans. The team then went out and got Max Crosby some help by signing Bilal Nichols, Andrew Billings, and 4-time Pro Bowl edge rusher Chandler Jones. Nichols and Billings have combined for 24 tackles this season, and Jones's ability to set the edge has been essential in the defensive line's effectiveness in surpassing the run. Crosby's development into a dominant edge rusher with 31 sacks since his 2019 NFL debut has been exciting. However, he has made significant progress towards becoming a more well-rounded player, particularly in his ability to halt the opposition's running game. He has a 77.2 PFF run defense grade and presently leads the NFL in tackles for loss, 11. Crosby claims he is constantly working to get better regardless of the aspect of his game. Quote, "Every time the offseason rolls around, I take stock of the previous year and adjust accordingly. In each way I can, I work to better myself. That's how I look at anything and everything. It's about being a well-rounded player in general, not simply good at stopping the run." Furthermore, the Raiders bolstered the unit in the draft, selecting defensive linemen Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler from the SEC in rounds 4 and 5 respectively. The two have established themselves as rotational members of the interior defensive line and have started 2 games between them. As the two rookies acclimatize to the tempo of games, the routines of practices, and the playbook used by the pros, Graham has faith in the process and has given it his full support. With veteran guard Johnathan Hankins recently traded to the Dallas Cowboys, the two rookies may be in line for increased playing time. The two of them, Farrell Jr. and Butler, are proud of each other, he said. "We became friends at the NFL Combine, where I first met Matt, and from the moment we arrived, we shared quarters. We discussed the steps, so we've constantly encouraged each other to improve. The opponents the Raiders have successfully stopped the run against are even more impressive. Their second-half shutout against the Titans included limiting former Offensive Player of the Year Derrick Henry to 21 running yards. The trio of Austin Eckler, James Conner, and Javonte Williams has been restricted to fewer than 40 rushing yards." How did the Las Vegas Raiders' last game with New Orleans go? The New Orleans Saints raced to a 24-0 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday at the Caesars Superdome, thanks mainly to the stellar performance of star running back Alvin Kamara. The Saints, 3-5, snapped a 2-game losing streak and remained competitive in the NFC South with the victory. The defeat made the record of the Las Vegas Raiders 2-5 for the season. It was the first Saints shutout since December 19, 2021, when they defeated the Buccaneers 9-0. The Saints' defensive limited the Raiders to 183 yards and kept them from crossing midfield until the game's final minutes. "We gained some forward motion. It's a massive victory for us," Coach Dennis Allen stated. With the Saints having their cleanest game of 2022, Kamara scored his first 3 touchdowns on a 3-yard run, a 16-yard reception, and a 36-yard reception. The 6-year veteran ended the game with 96 yards after 9 catches and 62 yards on 18 carries. Kamara is the first player in NFL history to have at least 1 rushing and 1 receiving TD in 10 different games in his first 6 seasons. In other news, what are the updates on the Las Vegas Raiders' next game? The Raiders are at Jacksonville Jaguars for Week 9 football matches. The 9th week of the season finds the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Florida to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the morning. Both clubs have struggled this season, winning only twice so far and coming off of disappointing losses to opponents they should have been able to beat. Of course, everyone knows that the Raiders suffered their first shutout loss in 8 years, 24-0, at the hands of the New Orleans Saints. Jacksonville still needs to figure out how to win close games, as they've lost their last 4 by a combined total of 7 points. Kickoff will take place in ideal conditions with partly cloudy skies and a temperature of 83 degrees as predicted by weather.com. Rain is possible after the game, but it will not likely affect the outcome at TII Bank Field on Week 9. The rain is expected to fall around 3 p.m. local time. On injury update, the Raiders' excellent tight end, Darren Waller, who hasn't played since October 2nd, is the focus of injury news again this week. Waller will try to play through an injury by working out before the game, but if he can't, Foster Moreau will need to make a more significant impact than he has since the injury. Even though Derek Carr is nursing a back strain, he has been practicing at total capacity this week and should be okay to play on Sunday. Overall, the Raiders enter this game in relatively good health, giving Carr more options than he has had in weeks. They might as well start planning for next season if they can't even beat Jacksonville with a full roster. As always, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to stop by again next time for some more news. Also, why not do us a big favor by liking and sharing today's video, while also subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on more great content in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!